I'm Rye.
And I'm Laura from Raintree Nursery.
And this is Thimbleberry Kitchen. It's springtime, Laura, and you were generous enough to bring me some rhubarb from your garden.
Yes.
And even more than that, you brought me a little rhubarb starter plant so I could have rhubarb in my garden now.
Absolutely.
And so you kind of brought some rhubarb for us. Could you tell me, why does it look different? When do I pick my rhubarb? How do I care for my rhubarb?
Right.
Yeah.
So rhubarb is a fascinating plant. It's one of the oldest vegetables that we think of as a fruit. And the edible part is the stem. It starts in the wintertime. It's just all moundy and looks like a nub of something from outer space. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you know that spring is coming when the rhubarb stalks start to expand. They get those big, beautiful leaves at the end of the long, tall stalks. And it's the stalk that we want to be using. You want to cut off the top part. That's not edible. And rhubarb does come in a variety of different colors.
Right.
Originally, rhubarb was green.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But people thought maybe it would be nice if it was a little redder. So some of the older varieties you can see have a lot more red to them.
Okay.
Modern breeders recognize that everybody loves vivid red.
That's a beautiful color.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And so this is what you see most often when you're buying a brand new start from someplace that gives you this beautiful color. But they all taste exactly the same.
Okay.
And they cook exactly the same as well. You can use rhubarb from the beginning of the season where everything is nice and soft and juicy. A little bit later in the season, the exterior skin will get tough and kind of stringy.
Yeah.
And so you can go ahead and just peel the exterior skin off.
Oh, yeah.
You peel some of the color off, but you still get all the wonderful flavor inside. So definitely worth it.
So today, rhubarb is so versatile.
Oh,
and it
gosh,
has
yes.
a lot of acid in it. So it's great to accompany a lot of different things to kind of showcase the wonderment of rhubarb and how many different ways you can use it.
Yes.
Laura has us started on just canned rhubarb.
Yeah.
And so how do you can your rhubarb?
I like to just put up anywhere between 6 and 12 pints of just plain rhubarb. I don't add any sugar. I don't add anything else to it. I started with a nice chunk, not too big, not too small.
Yeah.
And now I'm just cooking it down so that it turns into a lovely, soft slurry.
It's starting to smell good, too.
I know.
Yeah.
It does smell great. So all I'm going to do, once this is a nice, soft consistency, is I'm going to go ahead and put it in my jars. And then I will water can the jars and just put them on the shelf.
Cool. Okay.
And they'll stay all season long.
Yeah. What do you kind of use that you're canned rhubarb in?
Well, I'm going to use it for rhubarb ice cream.
Yeah. That's good.
I mean,
it's great.
Very few people have had rhubarb ice cream, and oh my goodness, it is absolutely not to be missed. It's tangy, it's sweet, it's rich. You can put lots of different things on it. It's not too overly sweet.
Okay.
It's just so distinctive. Yeah. And, you know, a little bit of pie a la mode when the a la mode part is rhubarb ice cream is pretty amazing.
Yeah, just takes it that extra level.
It does.
All right, and then we had also talked about doing some pickled rhubarb. So we're going to heat up some, after that's done, we'll heat up some vinegar. So we just have, what did we say? We did about 1.5 cups of chopped rhubarb. And then we had just about a 1/2 cup of we actually used kind of an interesting vinegar. We had a Rainier cherry vinegar, and I thought that might complement with the rhubarb.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of spices here. So you always encourage me to just go with the spices. We have an allspice, fennel, clove, anise, and cinnamon.
Yes.
What do you think might be nice in the pickling today?
Well, one of the things that I've learned about spices, when I started getting interested in cooking, I did not come from a cooking family.
Oh, sure.
My mother did not like to cook, and she cooked as little as possible. So when I first started cooking, I didn't even know what all the spices were about. And I thought, well, how do I know which spice to use if I don't know what they're good for? And so I just got in the habit of opening up jars when I was in the kitchen and smelling what was inside of them, as if I was kind of trying to, memorize the qualities. And in doing that, or taking a little taste, like the fennel, doesn't smell like a lot, but you put it in your mouth and you're gonna really get the flavor for it. So I
Yeah.
encourage folks, if you're not really well versed in spices or they kind of buffalo you a little bit, just take some time, smell them, taste them, and eventually you'll get the idea of what each of them are good for. So in a pickling like this, I think the fennel would add like a nice lively component.
Okay.
The anise is going to add that licorice kind of flavor, which will make this, I think, really nice and spicy. Because we were talking about using this pickled rhubarb on toothpicks in a martini.
Yeah.
Or on top of a salad, and these would really make it zing, you know?
Yeah,
so I think I'm going to suggest the fennel and the anise.
Perfect. So I'll put some of that in now.
Okay.
That's looking pretty good.
It's getting there. We're wanting to make sure that you don't really see very many chunks.
Yeah,
Wow.
I do love these just a little bit, and it makes it look so good.
It does.
You know, so pretty.
Very
Very
pretty.
special.
All right.
That's looking good.
It's coming together. If you wanted to speed this up a little bit more, you could get a potato masher and just kind of pound on it a little bit.
Okay.
But time is your friend in this situation. And I'm going to go ahead and I love to use wood when I'm cooking my fruit because it doesn't end up tasting like plastic.
Sure.
I really try to avoid plastic.
Yeah.
Metal is good, but sometimes it can give you a little bit of a metallic tang.
Yeah.
Or a silpat. That works well too. But you want to be careful to use the appropriate tools. I'm going to cover this bag up.
All right, and then our last recipe or dish, we are going to do a vinegar.
Yes.
Yeah, so a rhubarb vinegar, you can drink a little bit in the morning, add it to water, sparkling water. You can also make a shrub out of it, which is really refreshing. And then the other kind of fun thing with vinegar is just all the cooking options, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, just having acid more in your cooking. And it's so easy to make, right?
Yes. Adding extra acid to a recipe brings a spark to things. So if you cook grains, for example, lentils, adding a little dollop of a vinegar at the very end, you're not going to cook the vinegar. You're just using it to add some zing and to heighten the flavor instead of adding salt or instead of adding sugar. The other way that I use vinegar, flavored vinegars, and it's really fun, is to put them in salads. Like if you're doing a cold rice salad or a potato salad, or a pasta salad, you can add a little bit of a seasoned vinegar to give it just complexity and really make the flavor sing. There are so many different ways to use different kinds of vinegars, and rhubarb not only complements the vinegar, but that tartness brings out all the rest of the flavors in whatever you use it in.
Yeah. I love vinegars and like fruit vinegars. So when I was making pie a lot, we would use vinegar in our pie crust or in a scone or something, kind of with the milk to make it a bit more of a buttermilk. But using a fruit or a flavored vinegar in a baked good can really just add, like, again, that other secret layer of that's like, what is that X factor? And I also thought that adding orange to the vinegar might give it a little more complexity.
Very nice.
And since we're all about using our orange peels and our citrus peels, I'm just going to peel some orange.
And you want to make sure that this is organic. I only use organic citrus when I'm taking, especially when I'm using something like a vinegar or an alcohol that pulls out all of the essential oils. You want to make sure that you're using stuff that's really great, really fresh, really clean, because the solvent action of the vinegar will pull everything out of that fruit.
All right, and so simple, right?
Yeah.
We just diced up about, what did we say, a pound, 16 ounces.
Something like that.
And then we just decided apple cider vinegar would be has a little bit more flavor to it than just like a distilled vinegar. But you can use any vinegar. Really doesn't matter, which is so fun. And this is all about time, right?
Yeah.
So vinegar takes time.
The classic set and forget kind of recipe. It's very simple. I love using these French jars when I'm doing flavored vinegars like this because it's glass. And I never want to use plastic when I'm doing it. Again, the solvent action of the vinegar. This is nice and clean. It will make a very pristine flavor. And these are so easy to find in thrift stores.
Yes, that's where I found it.
Yeah, with the lovely little French lid and the gasket. Those rubber gaskets, sometimes when you get them in a thrift store, the rubber gasket can be a little bit old and sticky. You can order new gaskets online. When you change uses, you want to make sure to wash the gasket. It pops right off of the top of the lid. Some folks don't know how to use French jars. They're so beautiful, as well as being simple, easy to use, and a really, really safe way to pickle. So yeah, you're just going to cover that.
Okay, right.
Right? So that the fruit is underneath the layer of the vinegar.
Perfect. And then I had just this regular glass weight I use when I'm fermenting anything. But you can kind of use any weight, right? What do you like to use?
Yeah. If you don't have a really awesome ferment jar weight, you can take a little the teacup saucer, turn it over and set it on top, and put a jar with some water on top of that to hold it down firm. And yeah, look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
Right?
You can put that in your kitchen and set it on a counter, on a shelf, and it's decorative, and you get to watch it and taste it. And I would probably let that sit for, a good 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, just kind of let it go. Maybe taste it every once a week, maybe or so. And then when you're happy with it, and you're happy with the rhubarb flavor and the vinegar, you just want to strain it. Would you do anything with your kind of vinegar rhubarb pieces afterwards? Is there any use from? Or
no, they're usually pretty soft and gooey by the time they've had everything extracted. I would compost them.
Sure.
And that's pretty much that. And then find some lovely decorative jar to put it in. I don't heat it when I put it in a jar because, it's very acidic. It's shelf stable on its own.
Sure.
However, if I was going to use this strategy to take something out of something that was not as juicy and easy to break down, if I was going to use seeds, then I probably would heat the vinegar before I put it in the jar.
Okay, that's a good note.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so how are you doing over
here? We're really close. Nice. We're really close. Let's do this.
Okay.
And then I think we'll be ready for this.
Perfect.
All right.
All right, so once...
Oh, wait. No, we want to heat this.
That up.
Yeah. So, okay. So this is boiling. Yeah, this is good. It's got a few little chunks in it, but not bad at all. And so all we're going to do here is set this right here. If I was going to can these, I would make sure that these jars were sterile and all the lids and rings were sterile as well. But since I'm not going to do that today, we're not going to worry about it. Just take my pan, put all of this right in here. Want to make sure I get every last little drop. Woo, is that going to work?
Let's see.
If you didn't have a nice big glass measuring cup like this with a nice spout, then you could use a metal funnel along with a ladle.
I'm making a bit of a mess here.
All right.
Yeah, let's spoon some.
Let's go ahead and do that.
And in the meantime, we're heating up the vinegar for the pickled rhubarb.
Yeah. So talk about why we're heating that vinegar.
Oh, so it's vinegar and sugar in it right now. So we kind of picked an interesting Rainier cherry vinegar to start with. And then we added about 2 parts to 1 part sugar. So about a half cup. And then I have a 1/4 cup of sugar. And it's going to dissolve. And as it's heating up, it's going to sort of release some of the aroma of the spices while also sort of softening up the rhubarb and getting it ready to sort of receive this pickling spice and vinegar. And then we're able to just cool it down. And then again, we could can it or we could just put it in the fridge and use it another time. I am excited to try it in a pickled rhubarb martini. And just again, like you said, as a salad topper, anything that's going to add a little bit of bite. Especially, rhubarb is great. We get it early in the springtime. So we've had a long winter where we haven't had really interesting things. And then on top of it, we're here in the Northwest, and it's hard for us to grow citrus. It's not something that thrives as easily, but we do have rhubarb, and rhubarb does thrive, and it has a nice, bright acidity to it, which can take the place sometimes of a citrus. So it's an awesome substitute that sometimes gets overlooked because you have a hard time getting in the grocery store.
Absolutely.
I've gone through Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist and try to buy stocks that way, but I'm excited now that I've got my own little rhubarb plant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is almost nothing easier to grow than rhubarb. And oddly enough, sometimes it's hard to find. So having a little bit that is just set and forget in your yard makes it super easy to harvest and have available when you want it.
Perfect.
And something like this, not only can you use it as the base of an ice cream, but you can add other fruit to it, cook it all down, and make a wonderful compote that you could put over bread pudding, you could put over oatmeal, you could put over ice cream, and it just brightens everything you add to it.
That's awesome.
All right.
All right. Yeah, let's add that pickling spice into this guy now that's warmed up.
All right.
And what we said, I mean, it's pretty neat to have rhubarb from your garden, low maintenance, and then here we've made, our rhubarb vinegar, our canned rhubarb, and our pickled rhubarb in 10 minutes or so? Yeah.
Quick, easy, simple, fun. And then you have all kinds of fun things to gift to your friends. That's, of course, if you don't eat it yourself.
Yeah.
And it's really that easy. Thanks for joining us. I'm Laura with Raintree Nursery.
And I'm Rye, and this has been Thimbleberry Kitchen.
We'll see you next time. I can't wait to try this.
Yeah,
I know.
It's good. It's good. Especially as martini.
Oh, I know.
Mind making a cocktail.